Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another installment of the Bama Factor with Alex Taylor. I'm your host, as always, Alex Taylor, and super excited about this episode this week. It's Alabama Georgia week finally. The top five matchup taking place Saturday in Bryant Denny Stadium. Trump in attendance, college game day there, the whole 9 yards. 80 plus recruits are going to be visiting the University of Alabama. Kirby Smart versus Kalen DeBoer. Just a whole lot of factors in this game. And we're just going to jump right into it. So, just a little overview. Alabama has won 8 out of the last 9 meetings between Georgia. With the exception of the 2021 national title game, Georgia won 33 to 18. But Alabama has won the other 8 as well. So this will be the 10th meeting within the time span since 2008. Alabama won the SEC title game last year against the Georgia Bulldogs, 27 to 24. Obviously, ending the Dogs' 29-game win streak and keeping them out of the playoff as well. So really a lot on the line this year. And if you really look at this game, I think the biggest key for this game is going to be won in the trenches. It's going to be the O-lines against the defensive lines. And if you look at Georgia's offensive line starting out when Tate Ratledge is out, huge loss for them. But they do have really good depth at the position at right guard. But Tate Ratledge, a potential top 10 pick in this year's draft, super talented athlete. And you look at what he brings to the table, and that's still a big loss. And he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. But we wish him a full recovery. But however, Alabama needs to capitalize off of that. Georgia's been kind of struggling at the tackle position as well. So, when you look at that and you look at, the grand scheme of things, Alabama's front that is improved needs to capitalize on that where they can. Tim Keenan, Jaheim Otis, Jamarian Latham, LT Overton, who had a great week against Wisconsin 2 weeks ago, needs to capitalize on that. Quay Russaw, Quindarius Robinson, guys like that, they've got to capitalize in this game on that. You've got to make Carson Beck uncomfortable. We saw Kentucky do a lot of that, 2 weeks ago, and they forced him into throws he didn't necessarily want to make. Sacked him a couple times. Had a couple pressures as well, and did a really good job, I think. So I think that's something we can really build off of, and kind of see what Kentucky did, and use their success and turn into our own success. And then Alabama's offensive line on their side, they seem to have found the 5 that, can cohesively play together, but they have to be able to block consistently and consistently play well. They've got to read blitzes. They've got to pick up on those. Kirby loves to disguise blitzes. He does a very good job at that. You've got to, if you're Jalen Milroe, you've got to communicate with your offensive line. Offensive line's got to have to communicate with each other, and they have to make sure that they can get the correct calls as well to pick up pressure and pick up blitzes in the right way as well. Another key in this game is going to be the Georgia offense against Alabama's young secondary. And when you look at the tie, they do have talented guys in the secondary. Like obviously veteran Malachi Moore. You have Domani Jackson, who's only given up 7 yards all year. You have guys like Devontae Smith. But then you also have some young guys. You have obviously Xavier Brown. You have Jalen Mbakwa. You have Xavier Mincy, Red Morgan. And all those guys are highly talented guys and very raw talented guys. But they're still young. They're still 18 years old. They're still learning the system. They're still freshmen. So a couple keys for Alabama's side on that side is, they've got to tackle well in space, especially the young guys. Georgia's a team that's going to be fundamentally sound. They're not going to make a lot of mistakes. You've got to tackle well in space, especially guys like Trevor Etienne. You've got to tackle him well in space, especially Dominic Lovett as well. Very good wide receiver. You've got to tackle him well in space. And the other thing is you can't get beat deep. In the first 3 games, Alabama's gotten beat deep a couple times, especially Xavier Brown, Red Morgan, and thankfully those quarterbacks have not been accurate enough to hit their receivers. But, in this game, you got a quarterback in Carson Beck who is accurate enough to hit those receivers, and those receivers are skilled enough to place themselves under the ball to where they can either get a pass interference call if you run into them, or, they're just going to beat you deep, and they're going to take advantage of that, and they're going to see that. And the other thing is that, the defense has just got to play clean. They've got to play clean. They don't need to force any turnovers. They don't they need to force turnovers, but they need to play clean when they do it as well. So that's the biggest thing on Alabama's side. Then when you look at the offense and you go to Alabama's offense against the Georgia defense. Georgia does have a very good defense. Only team in America to not allow a touchdown this year. Hopefully that changes Saturday. Obviously have a good front. Have two outstanding linebackers. You have C.J. Baxter. You have Samuel Monin Jr. You have oh man, I can't think of his name right now. Hang on, Jaden Walker. And you've got a very good secondary on that side. Malachi Starks. You got Dalen Everett. You got Ellis Robinson the fourth. So they have very experienced players on that side as well. But I think, the other key in this game is the running game is going to be paramount in this game for each team. Who can establish the run first and who can establish it early and often? On Georgia's side, like I said, you've got Trevor Etienne. Unfortunately, Robinson II is out for them, but they have a guy, Nate Frazier, true freshman, who I think is going to see a lot of playing time in this game. Already has this season and is very good, very, very hard to bring down. Trevor Etienne, very shifty, very talented back. But then you've got, on Alabama's side, you've got Jam and Justice. But not only that, you have Jalen Milroe, and you can use his strength to the advantage in this game. And I think this offense is going to use that. And, really saying the same for the offense and the defense for Alabama. I don't think you've seen, but really 30% of what, they're trying to call, especially on the defensive side and the offensive side. I think you're going to see wrinkles thrown in on each side of the ball. I don't think that you're really going to that you haven't seen the full effect of these offenses and the defense yet. So I'm excited to see how they use Jam and Justice and Jalen. And I think the three-headed monster there, I think that's going to be too much for Georgia to stop at one time. They may slow them down, but then you can just go elsewhere. And I think you have to wear down Georgia. They're thin on the defensive line right now. They do have some guys coming back from injury, but, they're going to be limited in their play. So they're really limited as, the fresh guys that they can rotate in on the front. So, offensive line's got to play exceptionally well, open up holes for the tailbacks, and, obviously protect Jalen as well. And I've had a lot of people ask me the question, Ryan Williams, is he going to go off? Is he going to be, is he going to have over 100 yards? Is this his legacy game already for Alabama? Julio had one as a true freshman against Georgia in 2008. Is Ryan going to have the same thing? And my thing is, and this is a little bit of a hot take, I think Ryan is going to be used almost as a decoy. And I'm not saying that he's not going to get catches. I'm not saying he's not going to score. But I'm just saying, you look at how much Georgia may focus on him. They may try to double team him. They may try to take him away early and often. And if you do, you open up the offense for guys like Kendrick Law, who's a speed threat, Kobe Prentice, who's a speed threat, Emmanuel Henderson, Jeremy Bernard, Caleb Odom, C.J. Dupree, and you also open up the running game as well. So if they focus too much on him and then, they're doubling him, well, that opens up another receiver's path. Then if you go back and you're like, okay, well, we've got to, concentrate on these other guys, then, all of a sudden, you're leaving him one-on-one with a guy. And, yeah, he's only 17 years old, and people say, oh, well, if he's against, a fifth-year senior or, a fourth-year senior, then, they're going to have the upper hand on him. Yeah, and experience they might, but, talent is still a thing, and, these players are still very gifted. And true freshmen these days are just not true freshmen anymore. They look like fourth- and fifth-year players. But I think with the offense, it's this is going to be a heavyweight fight. It's going to be, who makes the least amount of mistakes. Can the defenses force turnovers off of each other? And, I think with Alabama, they forced 7 turnovers this year so far. That's going to be a calling card. Kane Womack loves to create turnovers in this defense. This 4-2-5 is all about eyes to the quarterback. It's all about following that ball, and it's eyes to the quarterback. So that's what I think is going to create some really good opportunities in this game for guys like Keon Sabb, who is just a ball hawk, guys like Malachi Moore, other guys like, Devontae Smith. You get Bryson Hubbard in there playing in the rotation a little bit too. But then on the offense, I think it's all about, we're the most explosive offense right now. Georgia is a defense who hasn't allowed a touchdown this year. So you've got to, what happens when those two collide Saturday night. So that's going to be very interesting on that side as well. So now I do want to say, to all the people in Georgia, Athens, Atlanta area who are being currently affected by the hurricane, hope you guys are safe. Prayers to everybody's family. Hopefully, no one is hurt or injured. Hopefully, your houses are intact. Praying for you here for the Lord's protection over your home, over your families. I hope everybody is safe. Hope all the Georgia fans who are traveling to Tuscaloosa get there safely as well, and that you get home safely as well. We hope you have a great time in Tuscaloosa this Saturday night, and we're looking forward to a great game. But as you see it, going to be a lot of talent on this side in this game from each side, and I'm excited to see the talent on display here. This is going to be, like I said, a heavyweight fight. And now as I jump to my score prediction, I can see this game going one of two ways. Either this is going to be a grinded out game between each side. It's going to be a lot of, not really a give and take game. It's going to be just a lot of, the defense is getting stop after stop after stop. And, but then somebody finally at the end breaks through. Someone gets a critical stop. Someone forces a turnover, and then you have an opportunity to win the game. So it could be like a 17-14 thing, or I could see either team really kind of pulling away. But one thing we know about these two teams is that they're obviously built to weather the storm from the other side. They're both well conditioned, so they're in shape. It's not going to be a fact of this, but kind of like last year, I felt like we broke Georgia's will. And you hear Jalen Milroe say, we broke Georgia, and I could see, their body language. They didn't want anymore, and a lot of Georgia fans took offense to that. But I believe we broke y'all last year, and I'm not saying like overall, it was a program, but last year in that game, I felt like Alabama had your number at some point in that game. We went in for the kill. Obviously they won. But I think with just what I've been presented and all the factors in the game, Saturday night, Alabama, Georgia, top 5 matchup, college game day, Trump in attendance, Bryant-Denny Stadium, 6:30, the biggest game of the year, 80-plus recruits visiting. I think this is a grinded-out game, back and forth, big plays, physical, hard-hitting. Crowd plays a factor. I think Kalen DeBoer can scheme against this hard-nosed, elite defense. And I think Jalen can have a legacy game here. I think Alabama can pull this out 31-21. Somewhere in the end, the game goes into the fourth quarter, and Bama kind of pulls away in the fourth quarter. That's my score prediction. Hopefully it happens. But either way, I can see this game going to Georgia. I can see it going to Alabama. Either way, whoever loses this game, it's not the end of their season. I think each of these teams are going to be in the playoff. I think this may be a foreshadowing of maybe an SEC title matchup. It could be a foreshadowing of even a college football playoff game as well. These teams are talented. They have good quarterbacks. They have good coaches. They have good coaching staffs. They're well built. They obviously have the talent. So this is going to be a slugfest, and I am happy to be in attendance on Saturday night to witness this. This is going to be very, very interesting. But also, we would like to take this time to let you know that us here at the Bama Factor are a proud member of the College Huddle, which is the largest fan-led podcasting site in the country. Over 79 podcasts and counting, representing 79 separate teams, all the way from the SEC to the Big Ten to the Big 12, the ACC, even the Group of Five are in there. You can check us out at thecollegehuddle.com. And it gives you all of the members. It gives you the members of the executive board who you can contact if you want to be a part of the College Huddle. If you see a team on the map that is currently not represented, I know as of right now we do need an LSU podcast. We do need, I believe, a Vanderbilt podcast, and several other podcasts as well. So if you know someone, or you are someone that has one for any respective teams that's not represented, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I can put you in contact with the correct people to get you set up there. We are proud to be the Alabama representative for the College Huddle. But hope you guys stay safe in this hurricane. Protect yourselves. Prayers to everybody who is affected. Can't wait for Saturday night. To all you people watching, whether you're seeing this in the day or the night, hope you're having a good evening or day. And as always, good night. God bless. Roll Tide. Let's go defeat those dogs.